let's get started with first news. Islam had some kind words for Ilya today, despite the two going back and forth on social media over the past year. Appearing on Demetrius Johnson's YouTube channel, Islam was asked how he thinks Ilya can bounce back after his loss to Justin. Surprisingly, Islam made it clear that he still believes Ilya has what it takes to return to the top and potentially become lightweight champion again. Islam explained that Ilya is still young and has plenty of time to rebuild his career. He also praised Ilya's abilities, pointing out that he is a tough fighter with dangerous punching power, strong skills on the ground, and an overall well-rounded game. According to Islam, if Ilya can refocus and continue improving, there is a real possibility that he could become champion again. Islam admitted that a major loss can change a fighter's life, but he believes Ilya has enough talent and time to turn things around. This is certainly an interesting change in tone from their previous exchanges. The two have traded plenty of words online, making Islam's support for Ilya's comeback especially notable. Islam clearly sees Ilya as a serious threat and believes his best days could still be ahead of him. For Ilya, the road back to the top will not be easy. But having another elite fighter recognize his potential shows just how highly his abilities are regarded. Now, Ilya will have to put that potential on display and prove that his latest setback was only a temporary obstacle. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier opened up about the hardest part of losing to Jon Jones, and his explanation goes far beyond simply being defeated. Cormier said what bothered him most was realizing that, for the first time in his career, his incredible work ethic wasn't enough to overcome someone else's natural talent and physical ability. Before facing Jones, Cormier had competed against plenty of elite athletes who worked just as hard as he did. He mentioned opponents from wrestling and explained that they pushed themselves to the same extreme level. Those fights often came down to small details and tiny differences that decided who won. But when Cormier encountered Jones, he felt like he was dealing with something completely different. Cormier described Jones as an outlier, someone with tremendous natural talent, unusual physical abilities, incredible height, a great mind for fighting, and unbelievable toughness. What made it especially difficult for Cormier was that he believed Jones didn't have to work at the same level he did to reach the top. That realization was incredibly difficult for him to accept. Cormier had built his career around discipline, preparation, and working harder than everyone around him. He believed that if he put in the work, he could overcome almost any opponent. Then, he faced Jones and discovered someone who could beat him despite seemingly not working with the same intensity. Cormier admitted that this was one of the biggest reasons he struggled so much with his relationship with Jones afterward. He simply couldn't understand how he could give everything in training and preparation, yet Jones could still find a way to beat him. For Cormier, the loss wasn't just about what happened inside the cage. It challenged one of the biggest beliefs he had built his entire career around, that hard work could always overcome talent. Move on to another news. Tom Aspinall believes there is currently nobody in the welterweight division who can beat Islam Makhachev, although he still gives Ian a realistic chance of pulling off the upset. Aspinall explained that when he looks at the matchup, he believes Islam has a better chance of controlling the fight than Ian has of landing something that completely changes the outcome. In his opinion, Islam's ability to dictate where the fight takes place could be the biggest factor. However, Aspinall was careful not to dismiss Ian entirely. He admitted that it is completely possible for Ian to win and said he isn't 100% confident in his own prediction. Despite that uncertainty, Aspinall made his position very clear. At this moment, he simply cannot think of another fighter in the welterweight division who he would confidently pick to beat Islam. That is a huge statement when you consider how many dangerous contenders are competing at welterweight. Islam has only recently moved into the division, but his reputation as one of the most dominant fighters in the sport has followed him up in weight. Aspinall was also asked whether the championship rounds could become an important factor if the fight reaches rounds 4 and 5. While he acknowledged that the later rounds could potentially matter, he doesn't believe fatigue will be a major concern for Ian. According to Aspinall, Ian has never shown signs of falling apart or becoming tired late in fights. Because of that, he expects Ian to remain fit and competitive throughout the entire contest. Aspinall's comments highlight an interesting contrast between the two fighters. Islam brings elite control, grappling, composure, and the ability to manage a fight from start to finish, while Ian has the speed, striking, and finishing ability to potentially create a major problem if he gets the right opportunity. The key question surrounding the matchup is whether Ian can prevent Islam from controlling the fight long enough to create those dangerous moments. Aspinall clearly sees Islam as the safer pick, but he isn't completely ruling out an upset. For now, his belief is that Islam has the tools to control the fight and that there simply isn't another welterweight he would favor against him. And with that, the focus now shifts to how Ian handles one of the toughest challenges of his career. Move on to another news. A huge UFC 332 fight is reportedly in the works, with Deiveson Figueiredo set to face Peyton Talbot on October 3rd. According to the latest reports, Figueiredo and Talbot are being targeted for a matchup that could add even more excitement to the UFC 332 card. Both fighters have plenty to prove, but they are entering this fight from very different positions in their careers. Figueiredo is looking to bounce back after suffering a second-round submission loss to Song Yadong back in May. It was a disappointing result for the former champion, who was hoping to build momentum with another strong performance. Now, Figueiredo has the opportunity to respond to that setback by stepping back into the octagon against another dangerous young fighter. A win here could be extremely important for his position in the division and could help him get back into the conversation with the top contenders. Standing across from him will reportedly be Peyton Talbot, who is coming into the matchup with plenty of momentum. Talbot is currently riding a 2-fight winning streak after suffering the first loss of his professional career against Raoni Barcelos. Since that setback, Talbot has managed to put together 2 straight victories and rebuild some of the momentum he had before the loss. Most recently, Talbot picked up a unanimous decision victory over former UFC champion Henry Cejudo. That was a major opportunity for Talbot, and getting his hand raised against such an experienced opponent gave him another important win on his record. Now, he could be facing another major test against Figueiredo. This matchup would be especially interesting because both fighters have different experiences and different paths leading into the potential contest. Figueiredo has competed at the highest level of the UFC and has championship experience, while Talbot is still establishing himself as one of the division's dangerous young talents. If the fight is officially confirmed, it could be a very important matchup for both men. Figueiredo needs a victory to regain momentum after his latest defeat, while Talbot has the chance to continue his rise and add another big name to his record. UFC 332 is already shaping up to be an interesting event, and this reported matchup could add even more depth to the card. With both fighters looking to make a statement, there is plenty at stake when they potentially step into the octagon on October 3rd. Move on to another news. The UFC 330 main event between Islam Makhachev and Ian is getting more interesting, with some respected voices in MMA warning that Ian could give the champion a serious challenge. On a recent podcast, John Anik and striking coach Ray Longo broke down the matchup and discussed what could make Ian such a difficult opponent for Islam. Longo acknowledged that Islam is clearly the better all-around fighter, but he believes Ian has several physical advantages that could create major problems. His size, reach, awkward style, and ability to fight at range could make it difficult for Islam to execute his usual game plan. Ian has also reportedly dedicated his entire training camp to preparing specifically for Islam's wrestling and relentless pressure. He has been working closely with high-level wrestlers, trying to develop the skills and confidence needed to defend takedowns and survive extended grappling exchanges. That preparation could be extremely important once the fight begins. Another major factor being discussed is Ian's previous fight against Shavkat. Going deep into that fight and forcing Shavkat to continue working before finally securing a takedown in the 4th round may have been the perfect preparation for facing someone like Islam. Ian has already experienced the physical and mental pressure of dealing with an elite grappler, and that experience could give him valuable confidence heading into UFC 330. Longo also described Ian as someone who might be a little unpredictable and mentally different from other fighters. He believes that mindset could actually help Ian because he may not approach the fight the same way other opponents would. Ian has repeatedly said that he understands what he is facing and knows he needs to be prepared for every aspect of Islam's game. However, one important point was raised during the discussion. Ian may need to make the fight boring in certain situations. The idea is simple. If you are fighting an elite wrestler, you cannot afford to give him easy opportunities to grab your legs. One takedown can completely change the fight. Dustin Poirier experienced this against Khabib, and the lesson is clear. Against someone with elite grappling, preventing the first takedown can be just as important as landing big strikes. Ultimately, nobody truly knows how a fighter will react until the cage door closes. Ian's preparation looks promising, but Islam's ability to impose his game could still make this one of the toughest challenges of Ian's career. Move on to another news. Usman Nurmagomedov could be heading toward a major career decision, with a potential move to the UFC now becoming a real possibility. Usman recently competed in the final fight of his PFL contract and successfully defended his lightweight championship. With that contract now reaching its final stage, attention has quickly turned toward what could come next for one of the most highly regarded fighters outside the UFC. Usman's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, recently revealed that there is a 90-day window in the current agreement before they can officially begin exploring other opportunities. That means the team has some time to consider all of their options before making a final decision. Abdelaziz explained that once those 90 days are complete, he plans to speak with the UFC and other organizations. His job will be to listen to the available offers, discuss the possibilities, and then return to Usman's team so they can make the best decision for his career. A move to the UFC would obviously be a huge opportunity for Usman. The promotion has some of the deepest talent in the lightweight division, and competing there would give him the chance to test himself against some of the biggest names in MMA. However, nothing has been finalized yet. Abdelaziz made it clear that there will be discussions with everyone before any decision is made. He also explained that the process will involve Khabib and Usman sitting down with the rest of the team and discussing what makes the most sense moving forward. According to Abdelaziz, Khabib is considered the team captain, while Usman is his older brother, making their relationship an important part of the decision-making process. The goal is not simply to chase the biggest opportunity. The team wants to make sure they choose the right path for Usman's future. For now, though, the message is simple. Usman should enjoy his victory and take some time to celebrate his latest title defense. After that 90-day period, the negotiations could become much more interesting. If the UFC decides to make a serious offer, Usman could potentially become the latest elite fighter from his team to make the move to the biggest stage in MMA. For now, the UFC remains a possibility, but the final decision will come after Usman, Khabib, and the rest of the team sit down together and determine the best next step for his career. Move on to another news. There is a big update regarding Islam's retirement plans following UFC 330, and it appears the pound-for-pound king has no intention of walking away anytime soon. Despite the rumors surrounding his future, Islam has made it clear that he is not planning to retire after facing Ian. Some fans and analysts were speculating that Islam could potentially call it a career after defending the welterweight championship, especially after already achieving so much in his career. However, those retirement rumors have now been pushed aside. Islam is still firmly in his prime, and his team appears to completely agree with that assessment. Head coach Javier Mendez recently addressed the situation and explained that Islam still has plenty of miles left on the tires. According to Mendez, Islam isn't even seriously considering retirement yet. Instead, the champion plans to continue competing for several more years before eventually thinking about stepping away from the sport. Mendez specifically suggested that Islam could continue fighting until he reaches around 33 or 34 years old before seriously considering retirement. That is a major update because it means fans could potentially see Islam competing at the highest level for years to come. Islam has already established himself as one of the most dominant fighters in MMA, but it seems his team believes there is still much more left to accomplish. His upcoming matchup with Ian will be another major test, but regardless of the result, retirement does not appear to be anywhere near the immediate future. The focus right now is on competition, defending the title, and continuing to build his legacy. So, despite all the speculation surrounding UFC 330 and what might happen afterward, Islam's message appears to be very clear. He is still hungry, still motivated, and not ready to walk away from MMA. With his team backing that up, fans could be watching the beginning of several more years of Islam competing at the highest level.